Hello everyone, my name is Anne and today we're going to make a fennel and spinach stuffed squid with butternut squash and a lemon vinaigrette as part of the Interreg funded project Chefs and Chefs. So we're going to start today with the squid, and we need to rinse it, wash it and take away all the purple membrane on the outside of the squid, because that membrane is kind of tough and it needs to come off. So put it into the water and with your thumbs push it and squeeze off all that tough white connective tissue. And just make sure that it's nice and clean, messy. And then we're going to take away the head from the body. So we pull it out, away from the body, and that gives me the body and the little tentacles and the entrails. So we're going to rinse that well, and all I want really are the tentacles, and I need to remove the beak. So we push that, and out pops the little beak, which is inedible. It needs to come out of there. And I'm rinsing the tentacles. Put it back on the chopping board. Nice sharp knife. Then we want to take away the tentacles from the intestines. And all this goes in here to the bin. Bring back the little tentacles again. Give it a good wash. Kitchen paper and dry it. There are our tentacles, and then the body of it, we'll give it another rinse, and it has a long plume that needs to come out from the body. It's a cartilaginous plume, and again it's inedible, it needs to come out of there, and then again take off any more purple membrane that might be on the squid. So here in Ireland, when we get it, the majority of that membrane has been kind of taken off, and sometimes the ink sac is gone. So in this case, the ink sac is removed from the squid, and the ink sac is a lovely black colour. And again, we're going to use it in another recipe to flavour rice. So just make sure that it's really well washed and that all the intestines and all the membrane from the centre is gone. Dry it well. So the squid has two fins, and the fins we're not using today, so we're just going to take those off and leave them for another dish. Today we just want the body of the squid, so it's nice and clean. Plume is gone. There's kind of a tough membrane up here at the top, so we're going to cut that off, and then with the back of the knife I'm going to press that and just make sure that it's nice and clean and there are no membranes or intestines in the centre of the squid. So we're going to put that back into the fridge along with my little tentacles, and I'm going to take the tentacles and divide them in half and in half again, so in 4 quarters. That little piece we use. So that's the prep on our squid. These little pieces here we're going to use for another dish. Butternut squash part of the recipe. There are 2 components. We're going to make a butternut squash puree, and we're going to pickle some butternut squash as well. So to start, we need to get a small little drop of rapeseed oil, and I find that if I put butter in there it gets too hot, so I put in the rapeseed oil, increases the temperature. For the butternut squash, oil is nice and hot, add in the butter, and the butter turns a lovely brown colour, and it gives it a lovely nutty flavour. I add in my chopped butternut squash, And to that, I add in some picked thyme. And thyme and butternut squash work really well together. We need to just take the leaves. We don't want any of the fibrous woody little bits. And give that a toss. And we're just going to let that sweat. So nice gentle heat. So I have a solid top here that's not as hot. So we're just going to leave that on the solid top and let the butternut squash soften slightly. So we leave that on the heat. And then we'll do our butternut squash pickle. So for the pickle, you need to dice a nice even 1 centimetre dice butternut squash. And I need to make my pickling liquid. So the pickling liquid is made up of white wine vinegar, mustard seeds, and a small bit of lemon zest. And you just put that on the heat and you let it come to the boil. And when it comes to the boil, we'll pop in our prepared butternut squash. So these are ones that I've prepared in advance because it needs probably a good day or 24 hours in the pickle so that the flavour infuses. So at the moment we're just waiting for the pickling liquid to come to the boil, and when it boils we'll pop this in and then put it in a bowl, leave it in your fridge and come back to it 24 hours later. So it's nice to have different textures on a dish. So in this case, we're going to have our nice dice of butternut squash, and it adds a lovely sour flavour to our dish. And in the meantime, then we have our nice puree of butternut squash. So you can see that it has changed colour slightly, and it's getting nice and soft. And it's so important to sweat veg because that's where you get your flavour from. So we're going to take it, put it over here, and then we're going to pop it into the Thermomix, add in 100 ml of cream, pop on the lid. So we're going to put it on for 15 minutes. So it's a great device in that it just cooks away there and you don't have to mind it. So we'll give it 15 minutes. We'll give it at speed 2 at 70 degrees Celsius. And what happens is it cooks and it purees at the same time so that you have a really smooth butternut squash. So while that's on, we're going to make the stuffing. So there's loads of flavour and ingredients in that stuffing. So to start, again, heat your pan. Very important to have a hot pan. Put in a small amount of rapeseed oil. And to the pan, we're going to add in nice fine dice of onion, fine dice of fennel, and some fennel seeds. So it's important that the pan heats up. The first thing we're going to do is to add in the fennel seeds, because they need to be heated so the lovely oil that's in the fennel seeds come out. So we'll pop in a couple of fennel seeds and we should hear those starting to pop. And once they start to pop, I'm going to add in my fine dice of fennel and onion. And again, it's important that it's a nice fine dice so that it adds to the appearance of our squid when we cut it and we have it stuffed. So let them pop so we can hear the pop. Once you hear the pop, add in the fennel and the onion seeds and give them a stir and just let them soften. And in there, I'm going to add a little knob of butter. So this is the stuffing for our squid. So we're just going to let those saute off again. Get as much flavour out of the fennel and the onion as we can. And the other ingredients then for that stuffing is our spinach leaves. So I have baby spinach leaves. I've taken the stalks off. I have pine kernels, and I have lightly toasted those pine kernels, just again to bring out the flavour of them rather than using them directly from the press. And then I have anchovies. And the reason I'm using the anchovies is it adds a lovely umami flavour to the stuffing. Roughly chop them on a yellow board because they're already cooked. So we lightly chop them, just roughly. And there's a tiny little bit of oil. I'm going to keep that oil, and that can go into the stuffing. I'm going to add in a tiny bit more rapeseed oil. And into that mixture then I add my pine kernels, the anchovies, and some of the oil can go in there. And the baby spinach. And all we want really for that baby spinach is to wilt slightly. Because I want to keep the green colour. So we're just going to toss it around the pan and literally let the spinach wilt. I want to retain the colour. I need to mix up all my anchovies. And I have some garlic that can go in there. Toss that around. So we're going to take it off the heat. Spinach is lightly sweated. And into that, I'm going to add in some parmesan. So I have loads of lovely savoury flavours in there. And the parmesan melts, and it has the effect of kind of making the stuffing combine together. And into that, to give it a little bit of body, I'm adding some breadcrumbs. About 60 grams of breadcrumbs. Mix it all together. So I have lovely colour there, and it really works well with the squid. So it should come together and be nice and soft, but not too dry. And the last thing that's going to go in there then is some finely chopped parsley for more green, and some finely chopped fennel, about half that. So I'm making that stuffing, and I actually want to put it into the squid warm, because what I find is when I go to cook it, if the stuffing is cold, and by the time the squid is cooked on the outside of it, it gets overcooked while I'm waiting for the stuffing to heat up. So I prefer to fill it with the stuffing when the stuffing is hot. So again, we'll take out our squid. So to put our stuffing in, we have our squid body, and we're just going to take some of the stuffing and pop it in here into the body. So a spoonful at a time, and pop it in. You can use your fingers. Don't overfill it because it'll burst, but have enough in so that it's gone down into the point of the squid. So we don't want to overfill it, but we do want to make sure that it has gone down in here into the point of the squid. So we're going to push it down, and then we're going to secure that with cocktail sticks. Just keep our stuffing dry. And then push it down and make sure that I have enough filling down in the bottom of the tube. So our squid is stuffed, and we will need to season it with some milled black pepper, top and bottom. and a little pinch of sea salt. And that's our squid. And we need to seal that in a hot pan. And we'll pop our squid in. And it is important that you hear that sizzle because we don't want to overcook our squid. And we're going to cook that until it's golden brown on all sides. So give it a chance to get nice and golden brown. And we transfer it onto a tray and 15 minutes in the oven. And to finish then, our tentacles, we just take them, toss them in a hot pan. And we're just going to roast those in the same tray. Again, a little bit of milled black pepper. And we'll stick them into the oven. And look at the lovely smooth puree we have after the 15 minutes of cooking, and then speed 10 blitzes it and makes it really, really smooth for service. So I'm going to take it out of the Thermomix, pop it into the bowl, and keep it nice and warm. So that's our butternut squash. And now we're going to make a lemon vinaigrette, which is the last part of the dish. So we need some lemon juice, some lime or some lemon zest, some finely chopped chives, and a teaspoon of whole grain mustard, and some rapeseed oil. Some milled black pepper. And a little pinch of sea salt. And then give it all a whisk. So we have our pickled butternut squash, we have our butternut squash puree, we have a nice lemon vinaigrette, we have some pancetta that we want to grill. So I've lightly oiled the tray. I'm going to put the pancetta underneath the salamander and just let this grill nice and gently. So we're going to introduce a small bit of green into the dish. I have some samphire, and samphire is a it's known as sea asparagus. It's grown off the coast, west coast of Ireland. So to cook that, we need another hot pan, another little drop of rapeseed oil, and then pop it in here. Nice hot pan. Hear it sizzle. Add in a tiny little bit of salt, not too much because it's naturally salty, and some milled black pepper. A couple of minutes, just really to warm it. So our 15 minutes is up. I'm going to take out our stuffed squid. lift off our squid, take out the cocktail sticks. Cut off the first slice. So I just want to take 3 slices. And we'll take our butternut squash, put in the center of the plate, and draw down a comma. Keep it nice and clean. So we're going to lift off our tail. Leave the tail sit just off the comma, and then we have our squid that we have sliced. Going down from that, we have our sautéed sapphire. So we're going to dot that around the plate, not too much, just a little bit on one side. And then we're going to take our pickled butternut squash and put tiny little dice of butternut squash. So when you're presenting something, it's like flower arranging. 5s are better than 4s or 6s, so have uneven numbers. And then I have a tiny little bit of watercress gel I made earlier. So I just blanched watercress in hot water and put in the Thermomix with a clove of garlic and some oil, and I blitzed it. And I have chorizo oil. So I just cooked off some of the chorizo and I extracted the oil from it, and I'm going to put a little drizzle around the plate. And then I'm going to finish off with a bit of height with my grilled pancetta. And that is stuffed squid with fennel and spinach, sapphire, our pickled butternut squash, our butternut squash puree, and tiny little dots of watercress gel.